Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Eric and I like to read, and today I'm going to be doing my January wrap-up. So this is going to be my wrap-up for all the books that I read in January. One of these books was from December, but I still haven't talked about that book yet, so I'll bring that up too. And one of the books I will mention very briefly, but I just put a review video out for it yesterday, so if you've watched that already, then you've heard my thoughts on it. Anyways, let's dive into the wrap-up, and I'll tell you what I thought of these books. So the one from December is Alatso. I was reading this because this was the book club pick for the Fays and Gays book club, and so we still have yet to do a live show for this. I believe it's coming up this weekend, but it had to be rescheduled multiple times, so I'm not sure 100%. But we will let you know, and I'll blast it on Twitter when the live show is coming out for this. I really did enjoy this book. I think I gave it a 3.5 to 4 rating. This is following the main character of Alatso, who can communicate with ghosts, and she actually has a ghost dog that follows her around everywhere. It was her previous dog, but when the dog passed away, she brought the dog back as a ghost, and it's been her companion ever since. And so, yeah, she can communicate with other ghosts, though. It's a thing that she inherited through her family, this ability. And so in this book, she's trying to solve a murder case for someone that was murdered that was close to her. And it's a really fun, time full of all different sorts of creatures. I think it's set technically on Earth, our world, but it's more magical realism because there's lots of magical elements to it, but it's also using our existence as its main plot to go around. So there's different kinds of monsters, there's vampires, there's all sorts of mythical creatures in here as well. I thought it was a really fun time. I enjoyed following along with the kind of mystery aspect to it and figuring out what happened. I thought it was really cool how the asexual rep was done in this book. And oh yeah, there were also fairies. I like fairies too. So fae stuff, I don't know. Ever since I've read The Cruel Prince, when I think of fae stuff, I just get super excited. So I was excited to have some fae stuff in here. But yeah, it was overall a really fun time. It was also a really quick read too. I'm pretty sure I read this in a couple days and then it was done. So yeah, it was a good time overall. And this is just a beautiful book cover too. It's very stunning and just, I don't know, I really like it. Then I wanted a quick break, so I read The Amazing Spider-Man, and this one is called Grim Hunt. So this is definitely jumping into the world of Spider-Man somewhere in the middle, because this series has been going on forever. I think this is issue 634 to 637, and then there's a couple extras in here. So this is following the storyline of Peter Parker when he has to kind of try and survive against the entire Kraven the Hunter's family. They're coming after Spider-Man and all the other people that are part of the Spider-Verse and murdering them. And so Spider-Man has to do what he can to prevent them from, well, murdering him and helping out the rest of his Spider-Verse people. I thought this one was a lot of fun. I always find Kraven the Hunter is such an interesting character because he's such a weirdo. He's just, I don't know, he's the ultimate primal hunter, and it's just interesting to see how he thinks and how he approaches different things. So I found that really interesting, and I also found his family super creepy. But yeah, it was fun to see the other people in the Spider-Verse too come together and work as a team in this one. And so yeah, it was overall a really quick graphic novel read. I think I gave it I think I gave this one 5 stars because it was really it was really well done and really quick. I didn't feel anything was lagging or there was any really slow paces. It was kind of go from start to finish. So I did really enjoy that about this one. The next book was on my Kindle, and that was The Gilded Ones. So I read this early January, and I actually really enjoyed The Gilded Ones. I don't know why I was sleeping on this book for so long because, yeah, I had a great time with it. It was really cool to learn about how this world was kind of set up, this fantasy world, and how people treated the people that had gold blood, because they thought that the people that had gold blood were impure and they were demons. And so it was really interesting to see like how they dealt with them as a whole nother thing. And then once she gets to go into like the training academy and go from there, oh, it was so cool. There were so many like different characters in this training academy that I really liked. And there's some animal companions that come into play that are also like super adorable. I loved them. And yeah, it was a really like action-packed book, and I definitely want to see where they go with this series, because there's going to be more, which is exciting. But there were multiple parts where I remember thinking like, okay, I think it's going in this direction. It was going in the direction I was thinking, but I was still satisfied at the end because it was really well done. It didn't like take away from anything that I kind of like figured out what was happening. This was one of the ones where like you want to puzzle it out, but when you do figure it out, you're excited about it. So yeah, I had a great time with that, and I definitely want to see where they go with this series next. Then I read The Electric Kingdom, which is also on my Kindle, and I gave this one, The Gilded Ones, I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. Electric Kingdom, I also gave a 5 out of 5 stars. This one was fantastic. I have not read dystopian like this in a long time, and so it was really fun to jump into like another post-apocalyptic world and follow along with these survivalist characters just trying to get through day to day. So the reason this is a post-apocalyptic world is because there were these flies that kind of got mutated, and now they're like killer flies. So instead of just the regular housefly that you can like swat away, these killer flies will go in swarms, and they survive by eating bone marrow. So anything that they like attack is just left as like a husk afterwards. And so all the humans are trying to get away because they do not want to get eaten by these swarms. The swarms will like come down, pick people up, and just like take off with them. And then their husks of a body will be dropped after the flies are done with them. So it's kind of terrifying. Like I would hate that. I would be so traumatized seeing any of that happen. But I really liked this book because it's following a whole bunch of different perspectives, and they're all trying to survive in different ways. And they're all dealing with this world and what has like become of the world in different areas, but they all also kind of tie together too, which is really cool. And this book also deals with certain sci-fi elements that I really like in books, where it's kind of like not fate or destiny, but when certain things are changed, what could happen in different iterations. I love when that kind of thing is played around with in any like sci-fi book. And so I thought that was really, really cool for this one. So yeah, go into it knowing that it's going to be like really interesting, and there's going to be lots of cool elements to it. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's a mind bender, but it just feels like a really satisfying puzzle, if that makes sense. So yeah, definitely check out The Electric Kingdom. Then I read Tales from Another Dimension. And so this was sent to me by Robbie Sheeran. And this is a collection of like short sci-fi stories. And I had a lot of fun with this one. So I think there's 10 stories overall in this one. And they're all very different. Well, some of them are like part 1, part 2. But they give you part 1 and then they leave it for a little bit and then come back to part 2 later. So you're like, oh, okay, so this is like the continuation of the story. I enjoyed like all of these, really. There weren't any that were disappointing to me. They were all super quick, but very different and fun. And it was great because like I could read a couple short stories, put it down, and then come back to it later and pick it up and have another couple short stories and then put it down and pick it up later. And it like I felt so accomplished reading this because I was reading like a bunch of stories at once and just having like a bunch of different cool story timelines happening. And they all dealt with something different. So some of them would be like monsters, some of them would be like robots, some of them would be dystopian worlds, things like that. So it was really cool to just like have these little small stories of all like different types of sci-fi. So yeah, this one was a quick read, but a lot of fun. I think I would give it probably a 4 out of 5 just because, I don't know, I really enjoyed this short story anthology. So yeah. Okay, then I read my blog book, which is Destroying Their God: How I Fought My Evil Half-Brother to Save My Children. So this one was rough, like not rough in the sense that it was a bad book. It was rough in the sense of the subject matter that was in this book, because this is actually a nonfiction book. Like, this really happened. And like, I did not know how to feel about this. So this is following the FLDS, which stands for the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. And so this is kind of like a religion. And it just like, I felt like I was reading about a cult. It really does feel like a cult. I don't think anybody from the FLDS will be watching this video because they're not allowed to consume media unless this media is brought to them by their prophet of the FLDS. So I don't think anybody's going to get mad at me for saying that they sound like a cult. And yeah, it was brutal. So I literally wrote down in my notebook the different things to watch out for in this book. So these are trigger warnings from this book. So don't read this if this is a trigger warning for you. But there was rape, gaslighting, pedophilia, child abuse, and incest. Those are just some of them. There is a lot worse. And I can't believe that the main character of this book went through all of this, because my goodness, like, that was a lot. So growing up, they have to follow what their one prophet tells them. And this one prophet is like designated as like one of the people in their like commune. And so they also are polygamists. So they live with like multiple wives, but they only get these wives when the prophet gives them a wife. Like, nobody has a choice in the matter. They don't know what really like love is, because they don't get taught to love. They don't get allowed to love. And so it was brutal, like just reading about the different things happening. And these prophets are just like making up stuff and saying that this is the word, this is the written word, and you need to follow it. And all these people just follow along and don't question anything. And I'm just like, what? How are you not questioning this way of living? I just don't understand. And so the main character, like, he had 2 wives himself and around like 20 children. Wild. I don't know how they provide for that much. That's another thing. Whenever they get their wages for the jobs that they have to give like so much of it to their prophet. And I'm like, this guy is just reaping off of everybody else's hard work and taking all their money. Like, this is ridiculous. But one part that even like blew my mind even more is there was a character in this book, not even a character, this would have been a real woman, who, as part of the FTLS, she noticed that she got breast cancer. Like, she had lumps and she got diagnosed with breast cancer, but FLDS would not let her go to the hospital for treatment. And this woman died because they would not let her have any treatment. Like, how messed up is that? Like, I don't understand. So anyways, this was following the story of the main character, who kind of like realized that this is bad. And so he was like trying to leave the FLDS, but then his brother had people try and kill him because he was trying to leave. And so it's the story of, obviously they didn't kill him, he survived. And so it was the story of him trying to get his children back because he wanted to save them from like what was happening. And yeah, this was a very intense read, and a lot of really disgusting things happened in this organization. I don't even really know what to call it. I'm just gonna say it's a cult because it feels like a cult. But yeah, like, it was brutal. I don't even know how to feel. I find nonfiction books hard to rate, so I'm just gonna give this a 3 because it's like right in the middle. But oh my God, like, I can't believe some of the things that they went through and endured and just accepted as like, this is it. This is what life is. We have to follow this. I could not believe it. So yeah, this was like a huge, like, eye-opening book on what is happening out in the world that we don't even know about. Yeah, I don't even know. I just, it's so hard to talk about this book because so many messed up things happened and I just don't know what to say about it. It's just, yeah. I feel like I would have gotten out of it, but I'm also coming into it with like an outsider's perspective, right? Like this is how these people have lived their entire lives. If you're born into the FLDS, like that's the only thing you know. You don't even know about the outside world and things that are happening. And like it must be hard to kind of like train yourself to not be on that like train of thought, I guess. Because you're kind of like trying to have to change your entire lifestyle to get out of it. So like, oh, all I know is I'm glad I was not born into the FLDS because that would have been rough. So yeah, that was that book. And then the last book I read is The Darkness Outside Us. And this one was given to me by HarperCollins as an ARC. So this book, I'm not going to go too much into it because I am going to be doing a live show with the Phase and Gaze book club for this one. This was the January book pick, and so we read this. But this is following two main characters of Ambrose and Kodiak, and they are two guys that were put onto this spaceship. They have no recollection of how they got on the spaceship or even when the spaceship launched, but they're on the spaceship. And so now they've woken up and they're trying to figure out like what's going on, why they don't remember anything, and kind of like plan out for their mission to go rescue somebody. And so, yeah, the more the book goes on, the more they figure out about their situation and other things are revealed. And I thought it was a really fun time. I really enjoyed the turns that this book took, and I enjoyed the relationship between the two characters up in space. I thought that was really cool, like how they had to deal with certain things because they're literally stuck in a spaceship together, just the two of them. And so it was fun to see like their different interactions and also the different things they would like question about the reality and stuff. So I thought that was a lot of fun. If you guys want to hear me talk more about this, I'm going to be doing that live show. So stay tuned for that. And that is when we will be going into like full spoiler territory, talking about the book in entirety. So yeah, definitely check that one out. And then I forgot to mention also Post-Traumatic. I just put a review video of this out yesterday, so you can go check that out in my channel. Brief recap, I enjoyed it, gave it a 3.5, and I thought it was a lot of fun. It's completely told in black and white, so I thought that that was really cool since everything kind of like traditional now is very colorized. And it's following a main character who is like kind of a time traveler. I can't really say they're like a full-time traveler, but when they get really inebriated, they can communicate with their father who has actually passed away. And their father's trying to tell them that they have like this special ability that they can use. And so it's this character trying to figure out how to use this special ability. It's also taking place around like the Second World War time. So this character was drafted into the war. And so like they're also going through being in the war at the same time that these events are happening. And so, yeah, that's like a brief synopsis of it. And that's it for my wrap up for January. Let me know if you've read any of those books in the comments down below and what you thought about them. Also, shout out to my new patron, Philip, for joining in on my Patreon. I am always excited to see new patrons join in and just be a part of the team. So that's great. If you guys want to support me, I have a Patreon and a Ko-fi page, which I'll put in the description down below, as well as linked by my bookmarks. You guys know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button so you get notified when I post new videos. I post my videos on Mondays and Thursdays. And until next time, keep on reading.